Welcome back. Now more of my conversation with Jamie Dornan.
So let's talk specifically, Jamie, about Pa, this character, because there is the influence of Ken Branagh's father.
Yep.
There's the influence of your father. And there's the influence of your being a father to 3 kids.
Yep.
So how did you approach this character in terms of keeping it true to what Ken wanted, but also to make it yours?
I was lucky there. You know, my understanding of who he was and how he would be and his sort of overall energy and being was exactly what Ken wanted. You know, Ken was also amazing with me, with Katrina, with all of us about saying, look, essentially you're playing the most important people in my life. You're playing my nuclear family, but I want you to bring your own instinct to it. I want you to bring your own feelings, your own understandings of who these people are. Because I think that he wanted to create a wee bit of separation. You know, he's very quick to say it's semi-autobiographical and it's based on life events and it's how I remember it rather than factual. So to keep a bit of that, and B, he wanted us to be comfortable with it, you know, and he was never at any point like sort of iron fisting us into like, this is how my dad would have done it, and he wouldn't have exploded the way you did on that take, and he was much more strained. It was very much, I'm here for you to ask me any questions specifically you have about my parents, but I want you to do what you feel that you want to do with the characters. And he just trusted us. I've never felt trust like this on a movie set in my life. And, you know, instinctually, I have a pretty good understanding of a man from Belfast. I'm from Belfast. My dad was from Belfast. I come from a long line of men from Belfast. There's so much goodness in Pa and him trying to do the right thing for his family that I like to think I have myself. My dad definitely had. And from what I hear from my Papa, my dad's dad, who died before I was born, he had, you know. And so trying to put a lot of the essence of those Belfast men who I knew and loved into Pa, but then that seemed to always be aligned with what Ken had told me about his dad and what the vision he had for his own dad. You know, we're talking about people who, I think even if there was loads of footage of his parents, if they were like famous people and there's interviews and we could watch how they move and how they talk and stuff, which there obviously wasn't because they were 2 normal working class people from Belfast in the 60s. But even if there was, I think Ken would have been like, no, I'm not going to let you see that. You know, I did ask him at one point, is there any footage? And he said, there's not really, but even if there was, you know, it wouldn't even have sound or anything, you know, so, you know, he's always trying to push us away from this like interpretation of his parents and make it just our own thing, which is massive. It's massive as an actor, that, you know, just to have that freedom and that confidence that like what I'm bringing to it naturally is what he wants. And it could have been the other way around. We're playing his parents. Like it could have been insane pressure all the time to be very specifically like his parents were, but we never felt that.
I was going to say, that could be a lot of pressure. You finish a take and you kind of look back. Did I get him right?
No, that would be, I just couldn't work like that. And Ken, you know, it's also the dream of being directed by an actor, and not just any actor, like an unbelievable actor. He is so acutely aware of where your head is at all times as an actor. He knows where all the fear is with every single scene. He knows that most actors think the same, and he knows moments where you could potentially find yourself crawling into your own head about what it is you're about to expose of yourself. And he would just handle you very sort of gently into a place where you feel really ready and confident about what you're going to do. It's a real treat to be directed by obviously such a big director, but also such a fantastic actor.
I was thinking as the credits rolled when I watched this, what pride you must have to have told the story of your city to the world in such a good way.
Yeah.
I imagine you really wanted to get this right, but to have it so well received and people talking about Oscars and everything else, it must have felt good to see the finished product and say, okay, I think we got the story of my home city right.
Yeah, well, never more so than the 4th of November, 2021, which I will never forget, because we screened it on the first night of the Belfast Film Festival in Belfast. It only got released in Belfast, in January 2022. So they had a bit of a wait, but there was sort of 1,400 lucky people who got to see it that night. Some very, important people in my life, and some of my best friends, my sisters, my auntie. That was an incredible thing to behold. What I was saying earlier about the importance of this story and sort of showcasing to the world that we're actually all normal, nice, everyday, hardworking people. And we're not all aligned by religion, sectarianism. We're not all tribal. Most of us are just trying to get along. We haven't seen that on film before, truly, from that part of the world. We've seen brilliant films that come out of the north of Ireland, by Jim Sheridan, Name of the Father, Jan de Man's more recently, 71, Steve McQueen with Hunger. We've seen some great films, but they're all very politicized or, leaning towards, a paramilitary angle, a very different lens to seeing it through the eyes of a 9-year-old boy and a normal family. It's vital. It's necessary, I think. And I feel that people at home, I know that they felt the same way, and I could feel it that night. There was a very strong, powerful, palpable sense of appreciation that we were telling that story, that I think in many ways people in Belfast understand on a very different level to anyone else. If people are like, well, factually, that's not exactly what happened. That's not what it's about. As Ken says, it's how he remembers it. He was 9 years old when this happened, and he's writing 50 years later. He sees it, and a lot of it is very heightened, but a lot of it's very factual too. But the essence of this film and why it's so important is to tell it from just normal people. And if you want to get a more factual understanding of the beginnings of a conflict, there's a million ways to be taught that lesson. Belfast isn't that, but it tells you the truth and the warmth of the people, and that is a message that is really necessary. And I feel that people from home really felt that, and I know now that it's been released there. I've been getting a lot of texts from people saying there's been like standing ovations at the end when the credits roll, just in regular cinemas. Now, with the greatest respect, we're not Americans. We don't have the enthusiasm that Americans have. We don't have the confidence that Americans have. We don't clap when planes land. we don't laugh out loud in the cinema. We don't whoop and holler. Going to cinema in America is like, if you're from where I'm from, you can't believe it, how much people are like hooping and hollering and clapping us and laughing so much. We just sort of sit there and then watch it and then go for a drink after and go, that was funny. That I didn't laugh, but it was funny, that bit, wasn't it? When we're different.
It's an interactive experience in America.
Sure, yeah, big time.
Talking to the screen,
big time.
Sure.
Like the first time blew my mind. We don't clap when films end. We don't. But apparently that's been going on in Belfast in the last few nights, that the first few nights that the film came out. It's brilliant to hear that. I just love it, and it just shows how necessary this story is for people from home.
You mentioned your father, and I know you brought your father to this character, undoubtedly his experience and his life. And I'm so sorry about the loss of your dad last year. And Thanks. I know one of your great regrets is he didn't get to see Belfast. What do you think your dad would think if you were in a theater watching Belfast? Yeah,
listen, I mean, my dad was a very proud Belfast man, and very proud of the place and the people, and but also enraged by the people and the sort of stuck in their ways politics, and always wanting to move the conversation forward. But the importance of this movie would not have been lost on him. I take comfort in the fact he knew I did it. You know, we finished it. He didn't get to see it, but he will have been well aware of the necessary impact that it will have made. He would have been tickled pink by the response it's got and for all the sort of accolades. I mean, my dad was proud of the stuff I've done. So, you know, like, there's been plenty of it. You know, I am very fortunate that for, I was going to say 20 years because that's when I left Belfast, but even before that, I've never achieved anything without being told how proud my dad is of me. He's always done that. He was always so proud of me. As I said before, some stuff that I wasn't proud of myself even maybe, or, you know, work that I'd done that I didn't think was great and the world was telling me it wasn't great, whatever, Dad was always had my back. Some people go their whole lives without hearing those words from their folks. So I consider myself very lucky that everything I got to achieve, he got to experience and was proud of. So, but yeah, nothing would have made him more proud than this. But, you know, in a way, I feel like I can feel his influence over this whole mad experience that Belfast has been since we first showed it Telluride in September.
It's our role as dads, isn't it, to be proud of the stuff? That's what we do.
Yeah, well, it's kind of it's that thing of like, you know, being handed some drawing by, you know, my 2-year-old the other day handed me some. She was getting bits of paper, and she kept asking me for glue. And I was like, I don't love giving them glue because God knows what's going to happen. And we're staying in a rental house in LA that, you know, we can't really destroy. So I said, listen, I'll give you the glue, but Daddy's going to just watch you while you do it. And then she was going, don't watch. And I was like, okay. But so I kind of like was turning my back to her, kind of keeping an eye. And she then made these 2 pictures, I guess, with like this purple glue. And the glue was actually what she was using to create the imagery. And she handed me these 2 things. And, you know, she'd worked hard on them. You know, one was for Mommy and one was for Daddy, and she gave them to me. They're terrible, you know, but like, I am proud. You know, I am like,
of course,
she's really proud of them. You know, I'm like, Jesus, right, fair enough. You put the work in, and I don't know what to do with them now, really, but I appreciate them and I'm proud of you. So it's that, I guess, you know, anything, you know, that someone's worked hard, you know, I think particularly when you work hard and you do some stuff and you put everything into it and then it doesn't get received well, or people say negative stuff about you. You know, I've said before, I'm in the wrong game if I can't take criticism. But it's not just about me, it's your family see that stuff, you know. Some people said some pretty horrific stuff about me before and my capabilities as an actor, whatever it is. My family see that. My dad saw that. I don't like that. But for me, in a roundabout way, I think it's a good thing because it lights a bit of a fire under me, and I feel like I'm always trying to prove myself and people wrong. And Belfast has been a big help towards that, I guess.
No question. Yeah. I like what you say about your dad. He's a beacon of positivity.
Yeah.
And I think that what you just said is so central to what we try to do as dads. Don't be on your deathbed and say all the things. Say them as you go. You have to. And that's his life is such an affirmation of what I think so many of us try to do. Say it in the moment. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's, you know, we should all be like that, you know, if we can, and not even away from just the pride thing, just love too. Like I was always told that I was loved, always, always, always. I feel like Dad even had more of a responsibility. I lost my mother when I was 16. I know. And my mum wasn't. She was loving, but she was not in that same way. She wasn't very tactile, and she wouldn't have told us she loved us that often, you know. And so I feel like Dad, there's always sort of making up for that maybe a bit. Like we always felt so loved from both sides, but Dad was just more vocal about it maybe, and certainly more tactile with us. And I've definitely inherited that
from dad rather than from mum, and it's important. We need to feel loved. It's literally all we have. Like, so, I feel very blessed that I get to shower these three little girls with love constantly, and and it's not a chore. Like, they're very lovable little people.
It can be sometimes. It's work.
Oh, listen, Jesus, it's
You were only 16, as you said, when your mom died. So she didn't see any of this. Obviously, she didn't even see the modeling or the beginning of your career.
No.
Do you ever stop and think about what she may be seeing or thinking somewhere far away?
Yeah, my mom was a very beautiful, very glamorous person. Loved to get dressed up, always looked immaculate. Would have had a real eye on, I don't know, celebrity or whatever you want to call it. Would have been very enamored by people in that world, I guess. And she would never have believed it. There was no signs at that stage, and if I would do anything like this, I was so obsessed with sport. Probably an only sport really at that age. I'd always done drama. I did drama at schools. I mean, the only prize I ever won outside of sport was a drama prize when I was 10. She got to witness that, I guess.
So she did see the beginning of your career.
She did. I was in drag.
Really?
Playing a sort of pantomime. You don't have pantomimes here, do you?
Sure. Yeah.
Oh, you do? Right.
Yeah.
I'm playing this pantomime called Widow Twanky, who's like a pantomime character. He's always a guy in drag.
At 10?
At 10.
Wow.
Yeah, we had a cleaning lady called Nellie Morgan, who was my inspiration for part. I just mimicked her, and scooped the big prize at 10 years old. I actually shared it. I won the joint drama prize.
Does Nellie know she inspired your acting career?
You know what? She didn't stay with us that much longer, and then she's an amazing woman, Nellie Morgan. Jesus, she used to walk. We lived 6 miles outside Belfast in a place called Hollywood, where I grew up. Mm-hmm. Nellie walked to and from work, and now and again you'd say, "Can we give you a lift?" And she'd reluctantly, but often she'd turn it down. Or, "Can we drop you to the train station?" No, and she'd walk. That was her thing. She'd walk up and down this busy road, 6 miles to get to work. And she lived in a very, very interesting part of Belfast called the Short Strand, which is a strong Republican community right in the middle of East Belfast, which is very loyalist.
Right.
So as a result, there was a hotspot area for violence. She was an unbelievable woman. She had sisters here in New York, and she used to save up and fly to New York every year. And you were talking about a cleaning lady from a working class part of Belfast who wouldn't have had a lot of money. And every time she came back from New York, she'd have bought me Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle figures. It blew my mind, like the kindness. I love Nellie.
She knows somewhere. She says, "I helped raise that boy."
Yeah,
she's watching.
She died a few years ago. I was working with a driver in Belfast who was driving me when I was doing this show called The Fall, and he knew Nellie, and he informed me that she died a few years ago. But I think my mom would have, she wouldn't have seen it coming, but she wouldn't be able to believe what's happened. Any part of it, even the first decade of modelling, and it didn't look like that was in my future at all.
You left Belfast when you were 19, about to be 20, I guess, to do some modelling. Yeah,
I went to university first. I went to a marketing degree.
That, by the way, that's how we all start college. Right. We don't know what we're going to do.
It was a thing where I didn't want to go to university. I truly didn't. That doesn't mean I knew what I wanted to do,
right? But
I knew I didn't want to go to university. At the time, I was playing a pretty good level of rugby, enough to be like, play good club rugby where you get paid, $100 a game or something, and then I probably would have definitely got a job, like probably like an estate agent or something, or a realtor, as you say here, because you didn't really need any qualifications to do that in
Shortest
Belfast.
path.
Right, yeah. I was like, I could show people around houses, sure. But I knew that's probably what I would have ended up doing, but I did have ambitions to just honestly leave Belfast and just try something. I always had this thought in my head that if I went to London, something would happen for me, and I didn't know what it was. So when I went away to uni in the northeast of England, after a year of marketing, I went to 9 hours of university. 5 of them were in Freshers Week. So I then essentially spent like 8 months going to 4 hours of university. I mean, you do the math, it's ridiculous. I never went. I was very non-committal. Played a lot of decent rugby, drank a lot, made some good friends, but I wasn't there to study. And I realized I was wasting time and my dad's money by being there. And I will forever thankful to my dad for when I did come back that summer and say, I want to drop out of university and move to London, and I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to work in a pub. I worked in a bar for 6 months. He said yes. And he really said yes quickly too. He was like, look, if it's what you want to do, if that's not what you want to do, I'm not going to keep forcing you down that path.
Right.
But I went to uni when everyone was filling out their forms at the same time. A lot of my mates were doing sort of business type degrees. I didn't have the grades to do medicine or law. So a business sort of degree seemed like the next thing. I was like, marketing, it's a bit businessy. I can kind of make that work. Not for me.